Today we are going to talk about how to set up a new bullet journal. Hi everybody, thank you so much for joining me today. Today I am excited to talk about how to set up a new bullet journal. I'm about to start my process for setting up a new one, so I thought I would make this quick video to share some ideas with you. I do have a free printable available on my blog that you can go check out. I have made it so that you can tuck it into the back of your journal and have it there for reference whenever you need. But I thought I would talk about my process and go through some of my older journals so that you can get a feel for what you want to do and how you want to do it. So these are all my bullet journals for the last, just doing the math in my head here, 2.5 years. Prior to this, I never set up bullet journals like I do now. So this is basically when I started in this book. And then I went through some stuff, so I ended up setting up extra bullet journals, which we'll get into that in a minute. And then I finally found my groove with what I have now. So let's take a bit of a closer look at when I first started doing it. So the first step in my process when I'm setting up a new bullet journal is to look at old layouts to see what I did and if that can potentially have value for me now. This was from 2020 when we were all feeling so helpful and excited. And as you can see, it's 3 layouts and 6 pages. So I had my future log, my 100 rejections page, which if you don't know what this is, I can touch on that. The idea is that if you put yourself out there 100 times, you're bound to get some yeses. So the goal is actually to get no's, but it's not so much, that's not the true goal. The true goal is to try in the first place, almost with the expectation you're going to get a no. That's kind of what this was. And then social media totals, which you can tell I was very invested in at the time. So what happened here was I started a bullet journal in November, and I didn't want to start a new bullet journal for January because that would have been a lot of wasted space. So I just set up for 2020 in the middle of my notebook. I don't know if that was an omen or if it should be perceived as one, but we all know how it worked out. So then came time to set up my new bullet journal, which is from March 2020. And this one was a lot more involved. I hand-lettered my quote page. Every new beginning is a chance to rebuild what you want. And that's exactly what I did. So this came 2 months after I set up that one, and this became a lot more extensive. So I have the future log, a note to self page. Here I made a Kanban board, content schedule. I did 100 rejections again. This was my social media tracker, watch list for TV shows and movies, class lists of classes I was taking. I was starting to get into essential oils before I realized I have really bad like hay fever to some of the scents. And then bath bomb tracker, which didn't pan out, a wish list and a cleaning schedule. And then I started the bullet journal. So I felt like this was pretty extensive. Looking at it now, there's not really anything I'd want to include. For the class list, I'm coming up with a new idea for how I want to capture courses that I'm taking, like Skillshare, Udemy, just stuff like that. And then we'll talk about the productivity side of things in a minute. I do like having the future log. You'll see that I don't really use them all too much, but it's kind of nice to have there. So as I go through my older designs, I reflect on what I think I need going into the next, I'm going to say season for lack of a better word, but going into my next bullet journal season, just ideas for what I might want to focus on and want to use. This is from midway through 2020. What is coming is better than what is gone. I did a 2020 themes layout, which I actually really loved and turned out super cute. A Kanban board that my son got a hold of. Gift ideas since it was Christmas. Ooh. And then a playlist and a television series. And as you can see, nothing's filled out. This is gonna be a recurring theme throughout all my setups. So that's kind of what else I wanted to get into when I say reflect on what you need. At the time, I thought these would be layouts that I needed. I spent the time putting them together. I spent the time figuring out what I wanted, putting them together, and then I didn't use them. I did enjoy making the quote pages though. Even the smallest act can have the biggest impact. And this was the first time doing the tabs. I saw that idea from Plant-Based Bride and just loved it. Content ideas, video Kanban board, blog Kanban board, regular Kanban board, social media, budgets, themes, which I never filled out, courses, and wish lists. Now, what I ended up doing was for various reasons, I wasn't feeling this bullet journal anymore, and I decided to start a new one just because that's what I wanted to do and that's what was making me happy. So I started completely fresh, and that's something else to take into consideration. So whereas before I started in November and I didn't want to waste the rest of the page, if something doesn't give you good vibes and it's turning you off from using it, then move on. Honestly, it's not worth the guilt, I guess. After I moved on to this journal, it was fine. I was getting back into what I wanted to do. I kept a lot of the same layouts, as you can see. I used them. I used sticky notes in this one. This is my social media tracker, my budgets that I used quite a bit. I never went back and filled out the themes. I kind of feel like I still want to, but we'll see. They're my courses, my books, and my wish list and my shipping. This is probably my most used setup, so I'm kind of proud of myself when I look back at that. The next step, I would say, is once you've looked at your old layouts and determined what you like and what you don't like, if you feel there's something missing, definitely research some ideas. Pinterest, Instagram, blog posts, go through them, see what they have to offer. If there's anything that jumps out to you, if there's anything that you think can add value to your life at that time, definitely give it a try. The next step, I would say, is to sketch out the layouts in the notebook. There's nothing more daunting than an empty notebook. When those blank pages are staring back up at you, and this is the journal I'll be using or setting up. When you take it out of the box and it's so pretty and tidy and neat, it gets really stressful. And so one of the things I like to do is I like to sketch out my layouts, because that way I've already marked in the page, but I have the safety of it being pencil. I can always erase it. I know that sounds silly, but also if you know, you know. So definitely sketch out your ideas to get over that initial anxiety of ruining, quote unquote, ruining the journal. The next thing to do, once you have your layout set up and you know what you want your setup to look like, you're going to decide on some fun elements that you want to add. If you notice, I never really throw much onto my page in terms of how I do my monthlies. It's just little elements here and there. In the past it was flowers or just some color. Here I added some abstract elements, but the main focus of it is the productivity aspect or the functional aspect of these setups. I have my workflow, my social media tracker. I was intending on starting like rewriting everything in here, and I realized no, I'm not going to do that. I ended up not using the budgets or the courses or the books. And here's my wish list and my shipping. I actually did really well on my wish list. I was super lucky. So deciding on some fun elements makes it really, really fun. It just gives it some color and personality and makes it nice to look at. I find if it's too like stark, minimalist, I'm not really into it very much, but when there's at least a little bit of color, it gets to be more fun and more engaging. So the last setup I did, which is for 2021, I added a whole bunch of extra stuff that I've never had in my notebook before. Again, inspired by Plant-Based Bride, I have my B5 grid spacing guide, which I will be bringing back because this has been fantastic, and having it in the front page like that, it's just been amazing. So that's coming back for sure. My future log will be coming back. My content, I'm still deciding. I'm going to combine my video and my blog Kanban boards into one so that I don't have to keep flipping back and forth, especially considering I'll do a blog and a video at the same time. So that'll cut down my setup time and increase my productivity, which I'm excited about. Then I did this really fun workflow layout. So I had my to-dos, urgent, important, urgent and important, important, urgent, not important. This is a Eisenhower matrix. Here we have a condensed Kanban board, and here we have the 135 method. I am now doing this differently. While I loved having this accessibility and it really kept me in my bullet journal a lot more, it stopped being practical, especially with stuff that was consistent, tasks that would be, I'd have to consistently do. So doing my videos, the editing, the voiceovers, you know, all of that stuff, it got it to be a bit much, and it was really frustrating to have to rewrite everything down all the time. So I actually moved my content and my productivity stuff into apps. Now, if you want to hear about what apps I'm using, let me know down in the comments below. I can do a video about that. I know I'm like strictly a bullet journal account at this point, but I'm also happy to share what else I use outside of that. I will be bringing the budgets back. I have to be better about that, especially now. So this will be coming back. This is my Patreon tracker. I want to bring it back because it's kind of nice to have an overview of it, but it's also something I can create in an app. So we'll see. Social media tracker. Every bullet journal, I make one. And every bullet journal, I barely use it. I don't know so much how valuable this is to me anymore. And I've started making it out of habit, which isn't a timely use or isn't a good use of my time, since it takes time to set it up and then I don't use it. There are apps to track social media and stuff like that. Honestly, for me, it's become less about a follower count and more about like quality of engagement. And that's one of the goals I'm working towards, is more better quality versus quantity. So I don't know if I'm going to be having a social media tracker anymore, and it feels weird for me to say that because I've been making one for so long. I will not be making another wish list. I take that back. I'm going to do a variation of a wish list. I'm still trying to figure out how it's going to work in my head, but I'm super excited to share with you. I am going to be coming up with a book list idea as well. A couple of years ago, I made a really fun mini book tracker in one of my journals, reading nook within one of my bullet journals, where I had audiobooks, book series that I wanted to read, reading wish lists, trackers by authors to tracker their authors to read. book series that I wanted to read more of, and then actual books I meant versus audiobooks. So I think I want to create something similar to this because I really liked it. And it was great having the washi so that I was easily able to find it. We'll see. I'm still percolating about that. And then I made a notes page, which I didn't use either. I could have, but I didn't. It is what it is. So I'll recap quickly for you what I want you to take away from this. They will be a printable for you. I want you to take that away. But when you're setting up your new bullet journal, I want you to look at your older setups, reflect on what you need, research new layout ideas in case there's something out there that could be meaningful and valuable to you. Sketch out your new layout ideas in pencil in your new notebook to get over that initial step of getting the notebook dirty. Decide on some fun elements to kind of keep you engaged. So pick your favorite colors, pick your favorite elements. If you like circles, just throw circles everywhere. If you like butterflies, put butterflies everywhere. Just make it engaging for you. Make it so that you want to keep coming back to it so that it doesn't go unused. Once you've done that, you are going to start putting pen to paper. You are going to start inking your layouts. You're going to start adding your fun elements, and you're going to start putting your journal together. Now, hopefully you will have found layouts that work for you, and you will also have found the time to put it together. That is a big one. Sometimes it's nice to put everything together in one go. If that's not necessarily the case, just make sure to block off that time to get it finished. If you feel you're not going to finish, do the layouts that you absolutely can't live without. If it's starting to feel like a chore, then maybe reconsider or reassess. The options are gluing the pages together or tearing the pages out the book, but just whatever you do, keep going and try and keep it simple. That's what I'm probably going to do with my new notebook, is just keeping it simple. I say that now, but it's so fun to get carried away. But productivity has really kind of been my theme for 2022 so far. Am I failing? I feel like I'm failing, but in that, I'm not being fair to myself. But that's content for another video. I hope you found this helpful. If you have any questions or comments, let me know down below. And I'd love if you would share your process for setting up a bullet journal. Thank you so much for watching today.